Hey, welcome to my ugly wall run because I'm going against traffic. So I was going against traffic the other day in an area that I don't normally run in, and all these old men on their bikes were honking at me, like mad at me for going against traffic running. So I don't know, I've never had that happen before. People tend to understand why you're going against traffic, but maybe in these like super residential streets that I was in, they were like, what the fuck, I'm gonna run into you. I don't know, they didn't like it. I hurt my right hand, so I'm training right now with not being able to throw my right punch, and Tapia was like, fucking no problem. He kept forgetting that like I'm not hurt, like I can't put a glove on my hand, but I'm not injured, like my arm is not injured, I mean my hand is injured, but like the problem is not that like my body hurts. I could throw a punch, but I can't wear a glove. So he kept laughing because he's like, I keep thinking you're hurt, and so I like won't hit you or whatever. Which is funny, but the reason I'm bringing this up has absolutely nothing to do with any of that. The reason I'm bringing this up is that if you are ever injured while you're training in Thailand, like you hurt your foot, you hurt your shin, you hurt your knee, you hurt your hand, your elbow, whatever, as long as you're able to move, like as long as you haven't busted up your ankle and you can't stand kind of thing, your trainer can train around whatever injury you have. I guarantee they have seen every single injury, every limb on your body that can be injured. They have experienced people being injured there, and they can train around it. Occasionally, they'll forget and they'll like hold for the right kick that you can't kick, and then you just don't kick. You just remind them, Madai, on that side, and they're like, oh, ha ha ha, I forgot, and then they just move on. So do not think that if you have one thing bothering you that this means you have to shut everything down. You can train around anything in Thailand. It's actually not complicated, and your trainers have experience with it, so go ahead and do that. I'm actually thinking about making a video. I got a message from a guy a long time ago who had some kind of like surgery. He was just coming out of surgery. I've had people contact me and they're like, I pulled my hamstring, but I've already booked my ticket to Thailand. Like, how can I train with these like various pretty severe injuries? And I thought to myself, there are a couple of crews and legends in the Muay Thai library who I would recommend as gentle privates. And these are people who you could totally work with without like hitting pads, and you could learn some incredible Muay Thai. So I'm gonna make that. I'm gonna tell you who these people are, because I really want people to understand that like your experience in Thailand is not limited to the things that you can think of. Like, you can have some pretty incredible experiences that you would think aren't possible, and they really are possible, and it's pretty cool. The thing I wanted to talk about today, actually, non sequitur, we're moving on to a completely different subject, is some people have been asking me very recently, I don't know if this is like a hot topic because it came up somewhere and then people started arguing about it, or whether like the collective mind just like pulled this and extracted itself from itself. I don't know. But recently a lot of people have started asking me about elbows and whether elbowing early in a fight is considered unsportsmanlike, or if it's like poor form or something. And like everything, the answer is complicated. The short answer is no. You can elbow anytime. It is a part of Muay Thai. It's part of the sport. It's part of the art. And you can elbow literally anytime, and it's not unsportsmanlike. It would be unusual to see someone elbow a lot in early rounds. When you see this, and you do sometimes see it, people start elbowing in rounds 1 and 2, you'll kind of be like, huh, they're like trying to stop this early or something. So if you're like watching a temple fight and someone is like throwing elbows in round 1, it looks a little bit like one of these bar fights where like someone just wants to end the fight as soon as possible and go back to drinking his beer. It kind of reads that way. So elbows early are less likely to be read as like unsportsmanlike or uncool, and more likely to be read as like this person is behaving strangely. Like they're trying to end this quickly, or they're just kind of intense. I think where it gets a little bit muddy is that Westerners or non-Thais elbowing in the first couple of rounds might feel very different than Thais elbowing in the first couple of rounds. But that said, non-Thais Westerners do some weird shit in rounds 1 and 2 that Thais just don't do. Like, you'll see Westerners coming in so hard in rounds 1 and 2 and throwing like a 4-strike combination that has a similar like, why are they coming out so hard in rounds 1 and 2? Like, are they trying to end this early? So it doesn't have an unsportsmanlike, like you're being uncool kind of feel to it. It's got more of the like, if someone starts sprinting at the start line of a race of like a marathon, you'd be like, like, we'll see how that turns out. If you cut someone early in a fight, like round 1, probably 2 might be a little different, but round 1-ish, you cut someone and then you don't like grow and capitalize on that, it probably will be forgotten by the end of the fight, and you don't really get points for that. You don't get points for cuts especially, but it means more if like when things are starting to stack in round 3 and 4, starting to get a little bit heated, and you cut someone, that person is now going to be chasing you. You've put that person in a position where they have to really come after you. Rounds 1 and 2, like, why would you put someone in that position in rounds 1 and 2? If you're watching a fight and people are like having a little bit of a back and forth and a beautiful little moment for an elbow is there and you throw it and it fits within that little context, you're like, ooh, why not? Like, you can do that in rounds 1 and 2. The like kind of attitude towards elbows, I think, is a little bit exaggerated among female fighters. Women get a lot more shit and have much bigger risk and consequences at stake when our faces get cut. Men is like badass and whatever. Women is badass too, but we totally get this like, oh, don't ruin your beauty, like bullshit. So women fighters don't really want to get cut. In Thailand, women fighters really don't want to get cut. So I fought a woman named Zaza, who was very tall, and she threw elbows right away, like immediately. And the reason she did this is because she wants to scare her opponent. She wants to impose immediately at the beginning of the fight that she's scary, and so you don't want to get on her. I'm a Dern fighter, I'm a clinch fighter, so I want to get right up on her. Like, I want to close that space ASAP. So it's actually very clever to like put elbows on the table very early, because it's like, you come at me, you come near me, I got these going for me. So it's interesting, like, what the meaning of using elbows early in a fight is versus what the actual strategy or like consequence of using elbows early in a fight is. You don't have to save them for later. It's just not common to see it as early. You also wouldn't see like head kicks as much in round 1 and 2. You might, and it's not unsportsmanlike if you do, but you're less likely to see it. You're less likely to see like jumping stuff, like a flying knee in rounds 1 and 2. That's just not where that goes. Like, it'd be, I don't know, like if you're watching a hockey match and in the first minute of the first quarter they got in a fight already, you'd be like, what the fuck is going on? It's not unsportsmanlike, it's part of the game, but it's a little weird to have it there. Elbows are not disrespectful, and they're not especially mean, and they're not seen that way. They are not, for example, the same as like a teep to the face. A teep to the face is not a foul, it's not unsportsmanlike, but it is a fuck you. It is disrespectful. So throwing a teep to an opponent's face in a fight is totally fine. Like, you can do that. That is in Muay Thai. That's something that you can do. But there are times or like, how would you say it? Context in which a teep to the face becomes disrespectful in a way that's beyond already the disrespect of putting your foot on someone's face. I don't know the culture around like jiu-jitsu that much, so this is me just making a guess. But sitting on someone's face, like putting your ass crack on someone's face in jiu-jitsu is not a foul, and it's not bad sportsmanship, but it's not nice. Like, people don't like it, and if you did it like intentionally and with a like, I'm already beating you and now I'm gonna put my ass on your face, it might feel a little bit more nasty than it is just as like a consequence of sometimes you find yourself in that position. Teeping someone's face, if you're already winning the fight and it's kind of this like, all right, let's just kind of get through this thing, and you start teeping your opponent's face, you're a dick. Like, that's kind of unsportsmanlike, even though a teep to the face itself is not unsportsmanlike, but the context of that is. Elbows, by contrast, are never disrespectful in that sense. On top of this, I would probably not, but could throw a very controlled, not actually making contact elbow at my trainer. Like, oh, could have got you, but like not actually throwing it, definitely not making contact. I would never, ever, even feint, even pretend that I was throwing a teep to my trainer's face, ever. I would not throw a teep to someone's face in training, even someone I don't like. I wouldn't do that, because teeps to the face are disrespectful. Elbows are not disrespectful. Elbows are not unsportsmanlike. Teeps to the face, not necessarily unsportsmanlike, but the way in which you use it or the context in which you use it, that could be disrespectful. There's an actual beautiful moment in a fight with Karhat versus Metzi. And Karhat, I don't know what round it is because it's an edit. So like they kind of mix together rounds 1 and 2. So I don't know how deep into the fight this happened. But in the edit, it feels like it's pretty early. Like it feels like it might be in the 2nd round or the start of the 3rd round or something. But Karhat teeps Metzi's face and then wipes the Vaseline off the bottom of his foot on the canvas. And I'm like, damn, like, does he not like him? Like, what was that about? And it's not unsportsmanlike, but it is absolutely a like, fuck you moment in that fight. Elbows are not so much like that. Elbows can be a fuck you in the sense that they're like, you're really coming at someone, or you're like, get the hell off of me, or like, yeah, I got these, don't come too close. There's that. They're really nice elbows like this, but they're not disrespectful. And they're Muay Thai, you can use them at any time. But again, like I said, they'll have a feel to them early in a fight where either you're like, whoa, like they're really coming hard in this, or it's like, why is this person sprinting at the start of the race? Like that kind of feeling. So it depends. It's context. And I think as Westerners, it's a little bit harder for us to kind of like fit into how Thais feel about elbows when we're not Thai. So how they feel about elbows, if I throw it in rounds 1 and 2, might be very different from how they feel about, you know, 2 very, very skilled Thais throwing elbows in round 2 versus not very skilled Thais throwing elbows in round 1 and 2. Sometimes you'll see inexperienced fighters. Thais fucking love young, inexperienced fights between like preteens or teens, like because they're kind of gangly and they are actually fighting for dominance and things like this, and they'll go really hard and they find it really funny. And this is a lot what kind of Westerners look like at times when we're like not super coordinated, but we fight really, really hard, is it's like super entertaining. So yeah, hard to tell. Here come my puppies. Hi babies. Oh, you're so dirty. You're so dirty. What are you doing? Gross. Ow.